The Senate Committee on Government Affairs will come to order. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daly?
Here.
Senator Ellison? Senator Krasner? Senator Neal? Senator Orenshaw?
Here.
Senator Rogich? Chair Flores?
Present. Please let the record reflect 6 members are present. We do have a quorum. Please mark Senator Neal as absent excused. Good afternoon, everybody, to the hardworking Committee on Government Affairs. It's a pleasure to see all of you here, and it's always great to see a packed room. On the agenda, we have 3 items. We have Senate Bill 96, Senate Bill 179, followed at the end with public comment. I want to remind everybody that we are working off of our laptops and have several items in front of us. If we are not looking up while the presentation is ongoing, please do not take that as a sign of disrespect. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't had an opportunity to do so, to please sign in by the door. For those of you who will be testifying today, if you could please provide your contact information to our committee secretary, should we ever need to contact you at a later time for minute purposes. For those of you who will be testifying, I want to remind you that the microphones right in front of us are red. There's a button on them. When you click on it, they turn green. That is an indicator that it is on and that you are being recorded. Please make sure you state your name for the record after each question for purposes of minutes. It helps us a lot. Before we move into the agenda, members, we do have 2 BDRs that we want to move for introduction. I want to remind the members that moving to introduce the BDRs does not indicate that you support, oppose, or have any position on the BDR. It is simply so that it could take its procedural course and get referred to the proper committee. With that, we have BDR 20-966, which revises provisions governing the confidentiality of the personal information of certain civilian employees of law enforcement agencies. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Move introduction, Mr. Chairman, of BDR 20-966.
Thank you. At this time, we have a motion by Vice Chair Orenshaw to move for the introduction of BDR 20-966, and Senator Krasner has seconded that. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Second, we have BDR 18-973, which revises provisions governing state boards and commissions.
Mr. Chairman, I move introduction of BDR 18-973.
Vice Chair Orenshaw has moved for the introduction of BDR 18-973. Do I have a second? Second. Senator Daly has seconded that motion. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, members. Oops, my apologies. We will take the agenda in the order it appears, and I'd like to just very quickly say hello to our students who I know will be co-presenting alongside of our Vice Chair. It's great to see you here. Look forward to the conversation. But first, we'll go ahead and start off with Senator Krasner with her presentation on Senate Bill 96. At this time, I'd like to open up the hearing.
Ready? I think I'm gonna. Hello, good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the Senate Government Affairs Committee. Thank you for inviting me to be here today and giving me this opportunity to present Senate Bill 96. Senate Bill 96 designates January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. The Holocaust was a systematic persecution and murder of approximately 6 million Jewish people and 5 million others by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. It stands as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. It is our moral imperative to ensure that such horrors are never forgotten and never repeated. In 2005, the United Nations General Assembly officially designated January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, marking the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the largest Nazi concentration and extermination camp. This International Day of Remembrance serves as a global platform to commemorate the victims of the Holocaust and to promote education about this dark chapter in human history. Here in Nevada, we have already taken steps to address the critical need for Holocaust and genocide education. In 2021, Assembly Bill 231 was enacted unanimously by the Nevada State Legislature, directing age-appropriate curriculum, increasing classroom resources, and providing professional development for educators on genocide education. However, recent findings underscore the importance of further action. A 2024 survey by the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust revealed a significant lack of knowledge about the Holocaust and other genocides among Nevadans, particularly our younger generation. This is deeply concerning. Senate Bill 96 formally designates January 27th as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. Specifically, the bill designates January 27 of each year as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. It requires the governor to issue annually a proclamation encouraging the observance of this day. It mandates that the proclamation call upon the news media, state and local officers, public schools, and other public and private entities to bring to the attention of the people of Nevada information about the Holocaust and other genocides throughout history. It emphasizes the importance of honoring and remembering the victims of the Holocaust and other genocides, and reaffirming our commitment to combating hate in all forms. Thank you, and my co-presenter, Mr. Elliot Malin, will now present.
Thank you, Chair Flores. Elliot Malin, for the record, Chair of the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust. Thank you for hearing this. Thank you to the members of the committee for meeting with me and meeting with us, and thank you, Senator Krasner, for calling and asking me, what can we do? First, I want to address, I've seen some opposition come through on this bill, and not necessarily about the content of the bill, but more about the preamble of the bill. In the preamble, we list a few other genocides: Armenia, Cambodia, Darfur, Guatemala, and Rwanda. In AB 231 from 2021, we listed these as the state of Nevada recognizing these as genocides. However, I will say that those who came in opposition were not legally incorrect. However, we as Nevadans have decided that this is what we recognize, and we want to make sure we respect all cultures. Article 2 of the Genocide Convention recognizes genocide as an act with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. There are 5 acts of genocide that go with that. The adjudicating body is the International Court of Justice, or the ICJ. The ICJ has only formally recognized 3 genocides. That being said, the Armenian genocide, for example, happened well before the existence of the ICJ. And so I think I want to make sure that it's important to recognize that on the record and talk about that and why we as Nevada feel it's important to keep these in the preamble. Serving as chair of the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust has given me an opportunity to really see what we're doing here in the state. Over the summer, we decided to commission a survey. See how is Nevada doing about Holocaust knowledge and education and the knowledge of genocide. So I want to go through a few quick statistics with you from that survey. We're not going to go through the entire survey, that'd be way too long, and you should all have a copy of the abridged version in front of you. There is a full version on the Governor's Council website and the holocaustcouncil.org. First, we know that a majority of Nevadans can't even define anti-Semitism. 54% give the wrong definition. We do know that 97% of Nevadans have heard of the Holocaust, 97%. It's important to know that those that we surveyed were from the voter registration files. So we're not talking about students. We wanted to know Nevadans as a whole. The purview of the mandate of the council is Nevada as a whole. Not high school, college, but all Nevadans. So I wanted to know. So there are 7% of Nevadans who don't know what the Holocaust was. 94% believe that the Holocaust occurred, which is, in any other statistic, a great finding. I will say this, the perpetrators admit to the Holocaust. The German government admits to this, so to have 6% of the population say this didn't happen is a bit alarming. 86% of Nevadans are able to say that it happened against Jews and it was accurately described. However, 37% of Nevadans were able to identify that it was 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. 36% were not sure. 7% said 20 million. Let me tell you, the Jewish population at its maximum population was in 1939, and we were about 16 million. We have not recovered as a population from that. So 20 million was 7% of Nevadans. We know that distortion and denial regarding the Holocaust is increasing in Nevada. 28% of Nevadans, or plus 28%, see a total distortion increase. Nearly one third, over a third of Nevadans that are a parent of a child under the age of 18 are seeing an increase in Holocaust denial. 14% of Nevadans know someone who does not believe the Holocaust happened or attempts to minimize the casualties. 24% of those who are parents with children under 18, see this. 26% of 18 to 34-year-olds, 28% in rural counties. We know that Holocaust denial is increasing rapidly online. 10% of the population doesn't know it, has never heard of the term genocide. Never heard of it. So 9 out of 10 Nevadans have heard of it, which is, I personally, a bit of a positive. But nearly 3 in 10 respondents could not name a single genocide, including the Holocaust. 28% of Nevadans total could not name a single genocide. And that, again, that includes the Holocaust. 47% could not name a single camp. I don't know if you know this about International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This day that we recognize from the United Nations and our federal government is the day, and it was 80 years this year, of the liberation of Auschwitz concentration camp and extermination camp. And nearly 50% of Nevadans cannot identify a single camp. Most Nevadans, 58%, do not believe that their children are adequately learning about the Holocaust in education, in the education system today. And I will say this, this isn't unique to Nevada. This is not something about us that's abnormal. What's shocking to me is that Nevada is actually one of the best examples of Holocaust education in the country. I had the privilege of going into Washington, D.C. this last September and meeting with the State Department. Now, the State Department shouldn't be hearing about what we're doing here in Nevada. They do foreign affairs, international issues. And they were so thrilled to find out from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, USHMM, that at their most recent conference, with just over 1,000 attendees, over 900 were from Nevada. So we are actually doing better than most other states. And so to kind of wrap this up, for us to look at how do we improve this in Nevada? Well, one way to do that, and without a fiscal note, is to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. As we are rapidly losing survivors, some of you that have been here for multiple sessions know that we do a Holocaust event, memorial event for Yom HaShoah at the governor's mansion every session. This will be one of the last sessions that we have survivors coming up to tell their story. And what better way for us as the people of Nevada and you as the leaders of Nevada to show that we care about this message and we care about teaching people about the Holocaust than to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day and have the governor's office put out statements about it. So thank you, Chair, and members of the committee. I know I just threw a lot of information at you, but I am also prepared to answer any questions you may have.
And thank you both for the presentation. Appreciate having you both here. Members, any questions? Senator Rogich, please.
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment, though. I want to thank you for bringing this bill. It continues to raise awareness not only of the past, but the contemporary forms of anti-Semitism and hatred. Thank you.
Vice Chair, please.
Thank you very much, Senator Krasner, for bringing the bill. Thank you, Mr. Mellon, for co-presenting. And if the bill passes and January 27th is recognized, do you think that it might lead to more, maybe education in schools and colleges about Holocaust Remembrance Day, that even just noting this, that it might lead to perhaps more students, K through 12 and in higher ed, maybe learning about it and trying to bridge that gap about the knowledge?
Thank you for your question. I think so. I think having the governor of the state of Nevada, regardless if it's a Democrat governor or a Republican governor, making it known that this is a special day when we remember those who were murdered and honor those who survived. I think it brings attention and awareness to the fact that the Holocaust and other genocides did exist in our history. So I think it's very beneficial, yes. Thank you.
Elliot Mallon, for the record, thank you for that question. The way I look at this is we need every resource we can get. This happens to be a resource that is helpful. We can help push this to our schools, and this comes with no fiscal note, which makes it even better, especially in the current outlook. So I think that the ability for us and for the media, for us to do events and programming, and as the Governor's Council, to push this out further will help a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Krasner. Thank you, Mr. Mallon. Thank you, Chair. And Chair, with your indulgence, if I might just make a brief comment about Mr. Mallon's comment about the loss of people who are survivors. When I was a kid growing up in Las Vegas, we had a family friend who had a number tattooed on his arm, and he showed it to us. And it was from being in a camp in Europe during the Nazi Holocaust. There are, very few young people now who will get to have that horrific experience, but get to know that this was something that happened, that they put numbers on people's arms. Thank you.
Senator Ellison, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate you bringing this bill forward. It means a lot. But if we don't learn from history, we're bound to repeat it. And that is so important that we teach our children what a tragedy this was. Back in 2010, I put in my first bill that the United States, Nevada will stand strong with its closest ally, Israel. And I run that bill every session until it was taken away from me the last session I was in the Assembly. So my first bill that I put out that went down there is my bill. Nevada will stand strong with its closest ally, Israel. And I believe that, and history's shown that. And what could happen any day around this world, it'll probably start in Israel. So we got to stand behind them. We got to be partners with them. We've got to do whatever we can to show our pride for Israel. So that's why my bill's coming. And I tell you what, this is amazing. And just one other thing is I got to meet 5 or 6 of the Holocaust survivors. And the stories was amazing. how they had to crawl, the kids had to crawl under fences and in the middle of the night and try to find food and garbage cans to take back because they were starving to death. And if they got caught, they would kill the kids and all the family members. So it's some of them stories that it'll haunt you forever, what they went through. So thank you guys so much for bringing this forward. And I know there's another one that's a just as good bill that's going to be on here today that we're going to hear too. And I thank you guys for had the courage and the forethought to bring it forward. Thank you so much.
And obviously, I'll take a personal point of privilege only to share a story of when I was in middle school. I know that in our curriculum here in Southern Nevada, we read Alicia My Story, and we had an opportunity to, in fact, meet her. And obviously, the importance of meeting individuals versus just reading about survivors is so incredibly important. So the fact that you're highlighting that, unfortunately, we may not be able to enjoy that for years to come is all the more important for us to have this conversation now. Very timely. With that, I don't think we have any additional questions. Thank you both for being here. I'm going to invite you to step back. And at this time, I'd like to invite anybody wishing to testify to please come forward. We will start off with those in Carson City. I don't think I see anybody in Las Vegas. Whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon. Alexander Marks speaking in my personal capacity this afternoon. Bills like Senate Bill 96 aren't just necessary, they're urgent. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and education is our strongest defense. A Holocaust Remembrance Day in Nevada is a commitment to truth, tolerance, and justice, and a commitment to never allow hate to take root again. In addition to the denial that we're seeing that my colleague Elliot had mentioned, even more sinister is folks who are being cute with symbols and salutes of late. The fact that Nazi salutes are still being performed in 2025, including by high-profile figures, proves that remembrance is not optional. It's a moral imperative. When people feel emboldened to throw up Nazi salutes in public, it's clear we have not learned history's lessons, and this bill confronts that rising hate head-on. I've learned about Holocaust since a young child in Hebrew school and in my GATE classes in Nevada. I've met survivors. I have distant relatives who have met in concentration camps. Their stories are chilling and must never be minimalized. Yet some treat Nazi symbols and salutes as cute and funny, and they are neither. Calling a Nazi salute awkward or provocative is a dangerous euphemism, and no one in this room would be willing to replicate that salute. Dismissing it as trolling ignores the harm it inflicts, especially on Jewish communities and Holocaust survivors. Every time someone raises their hand in a Nazi salute, they are testing society's tolerance for hate. This symbol represents mass murder, dehumanization, and ideology that saw people as numbers marked for extermination. And that's why our response must be unequivocal. Hate has no place in Nevada, and our response must be clear and unwavering. There's no way to really grasp these atrocities as time distances us, but it's on us to do as much as we can. We say never forget, yet some clearly have. Never again starts with remembering. Senate Bill 96 ensures that every generation understands the horrors of the Holocaust and the dangers of unchecked hatred. We honor survivors, we mourn our victims, and we educate our children because forgetting is not an option. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And I would like to remind folk that we do have 3 seats, so feel free to occupy all 3. Whoever wishes to go next, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Flores. Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education. NSHE supports Senate Bill 96. This bill aligns with NSHE's commitment promoting education, tolerance, and understanding within our communities. We aim to foster an environment of reflection and learning, ensuring that tragedies such as the Holocaust are neither forgotten nor repeated. We commend the legislature for considering this bipartisan legislation and urge its passage to reaffirm Nevada's commitment to remembrance and education. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and esteemed Senate Government Affairs Committee. My name is Ethan Cohen. I'm a 15-year-old sophomore at the Meadow School. I'm also the founder and president of the National Holocaust Youth Council, the first ever for youth, by youth Holocaust and genocide education organization. I've created curriculum to teach kids about the Holocaust and have already reached hundreds of students in Clark County, combating the rise in anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial and distortion, and preserving the memory of Holocaust survivors. Growing up in a family including Holocaust survivors, the importance of remembering the atrocities of the Holocaust has been seared into me for as long as I know, and this bill is truly a tremendous path to ensuring the memory of the past lives on. I encourage a positive attitude towards this bill that allows the importance of the Holocaust to live on, and thank you for helping to preserve the memory of the worst genocide in human history. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, and members of the Government Affairs Committee. For the record, my name is Leonardo Benavides with UNLV, here proudly in support of SB 96. Just this past January 27th, I had the honor of attending the 19th Annual International Holocaust Remembrance Day hosted at UNLV, thanks to the efforts of our Jewish faculty and staff group and Hillel Las Vegas. It was a solemn occasion as we remembered the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp, but also the adversity of the human spirit. We have come far as a society, but it's always important to study and learn lessons from even the worst moments in human history, so we don't repeat a vicious cycle. It's why we're also proud of our history graduate program and their work with the Nevada Center for Humanity to put together the exhibit, The Holocaust, Reconstructing Shattered Humanity, that is currently at the office of Governor Joe Lombardo's in Southern Nevada through March 13th. And while I know our university has only scratched the surface of bringing awareness and educating the general public on this dark moment in recent human history, we hope to do much more within the coming years, especially in working alongside the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to Holocaust. That's why bills such as SB 96 are so important. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, please.
Thank you, committee.
And if I could just have you press the button right beneath the mic. There, perfect.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Zara MacDonald. As a student, I have continuously learned about the Holocaust throughout my time in school. In particular, I was able to attend the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles and meet a Holocaust survivor. This was really important to me because not only did I get to learn about the Holocaust, but I also got to learn about her experiences. I support this bill because of the powerful message it conveys in reference to anti-Semitism within Nevada. This bill would serve as a landmark in preserving equality within our great state and make it so that the horrors of the Holocaust are remembered. This would be adjusted to her in particular because people would get to learn about the mistakes of the Holocaust and ensure that they are not repeated. Not only would this help people, but also it would be able to educate people about the history of the Holocaust and prevent that anti-Semitism is not repeated. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, please.
Hi, Chair Flores and members of the committee. Sheila Bray from the University of Nevada, Reno. We also stand in support with our colleagues from NSHE and UNLV and believe this bill will help to bring forth more awareness for our campus community from this horrific incident. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, please.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mara Langer, for the record. I appreciate you, Senator Flores, and the rest of the group here, as well as Senator Krasner, for bringing this forward. I am not only a Jewish professional within the state of Nevada, I also sit on the Governor's Advisory Council relating to the Holocaust. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for listening to the bill, hearing it, and hopefully supporting it. We definitely need to keep the education of the Holocaust going and to never happen again. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Please, whoever wishes to go next.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the Senate Committee. My name is Mayor DeLee, and I'm a freshman at Las Vegas Academy. As a student in Las Vegas Academy, I've been able to see the amount of uneducation relating to the Holocaust that has been present, and as a student of many other schools, it's just been apparent to me that the level of uneducation that pertains to the Holocaust is unacceptable. And that's why I testify in support of this bill.
Thank you for joining us. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and committee. My name is Jim DeGraffenreid, Jimdegraffenreid. I'm Nevada's Republican National Committeeman, here today on behalf of the party in favor of Senate Bill 96. Holocaust was one of the darkest atrocities in human history. 6 million Jewish men, women, and children were murdered, along with millions of others simply for who they were. This is not mere history. It is a tragedy that still reverberates through families and communities today. Stories of countless survivors of the Holocaust serve as a solemn reminder of what happens when hatred goes unchecked. For those who have not had a chance to do so, I highly recommend visiting the National Holocaust Museum, which immerses visitors into the history of this unimaginable event, among other things allowing participants to hear from the survivors in their own voices. Unfortunately, anti-Semitism is not just a relic of the past. We are witnessing a disturbing rise in hatred and Holocaust denial across the country and around the world. It is our responsibility to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust are never forgotten and that future generations understand the consequences of intolerance and bigotry. As evidenced by the list of 5 primary and 15 co-sponsors from both sides of the aisle, it's clear that this is not a partisan issue. It is a moral obligation. I urge your support for SB 96. Thank you for your time and your commitment to ensuring the promise of never again is upheld. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Please.
Jessica John for the record, and I am standing here today in support of Senate Bill 96. I took a Holocaust and Genocide class at UNR about 2 years ago, and I learned so much about this horrible tragedy, which is why I'm standing here in support of Senate Bill 96. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Please.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Teresa DeGraffenreid, T-H-E-R-E-S-A, DeGraffenreid, D-E-G-R-A-F-F-E-N-R-E-I-D. As we get further and further away from World War II and the Holocaust, it is harder and harder for people to remember. So it's important that we remember in this way, and make sure that January 27th is a day of remembrance of the Holocaust. Myself, as growing up in New Jersey, my best friend was Lithuanian, and her grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and she, she could barely speak English, but would, with translation from my friend's mother, would tell us about little bits and pieces of the atrocities that she lived through. So as we get further, like I said, as we get further away from that, and people who lived through it, we have to keep the memories alive to make sure that it never happens again. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Please.
Chair Senator Flores, Vice Chair Senator Orenshaw, committee members, I support wholeheartedly at SB 96. The Holocaust is running fiber on me and in my bones. My great aunt is 100 years old, and she survived the Holocaust. The difference between her and others is that she doesn't have a number, because she was able to escape the walk in the forest in the winter and was able to hide beneath the snow and the leaves, and was able to survive like that for close to a year and a half. And it's imperative that the next generation will continue to understand those atrocities and honor the victims of the Holocaust throughout, and for the next generation to know and understand that the Holocaust survivors are reducing daily, and it's important to hear their stories. Thank you so much.
And sir, before I have you leave, could I please, just for the record, get your name, please?
Apologies, Odette Cohen, O-D-E-D-C-O-H-E-N.
Thank you, sir. Please.
Good afternoon, Chair, Senators, staff. My name is Zach Bucher from the great city of North Las Vegas. I'm the Government Affairs Manager. Last week, I testified in support of a bill commemorating certain days. Went to the table and said the city of North Las Vegas would support all members in our community. And so it is today as well that we are here in support for this bill. I'd like a really quick indulgence, please, Chair. I have a 102-year-old World War II neighbor watching at home right now who fought against fascism, who fought for liberation of the oppressed. Thank goodness for those people that lived and that are still with us, but unfortunately there's not too many of them left. But here today in support of this bill, it is very important. Never forget and never again. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Is there anybody else in Carson City who would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 96?
I'd like to make a comment.
And as we have folk coming up, Senator Ellison, please.
I hate to butt in here, and because I know some are leaving already, but listening to UNLV and Reno and our college system, we don't see that across the United States, mostly back east, where they're beating, they're destroying, they're attacking people that are Jewish of faith. And I can't believe that our state has the guts to stand up and say, we support it, we remember history, and we live by history. So I want to thank them guys. That was amazing for what I heard, because I tell you what, you don't see what's happened across the United States. These guys had enough guts to say, we teach it, we live it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ellison. I don't see anybody else in Carson City or Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 96. We will go to the phone lines. Anybody wishing to testify in support over the phone?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 96, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to you and members of the committee. Thank you to the sponsor of this bill. According to my LCB accessibility team, because I am blind, it says Lisa Krasner. Thank you so much. Senator Krasner, this is a sound-minded bill. It's long overdue. We wholeheartedly support it. This is Dora Martinez. Thank you.
And thank you for calling in. BPS, next caller, please.
Chair, there are currently no other callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. BPS will stay on the phone. Anyone wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 96 over the phone?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 96, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Thank you, Chair. We currently have no callers wishing to testify in opposition.
Understood. Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to testify in opposition, either in Las Vegas or Carson City, to Senate Bill 96? Seeing none, is there anybody wishing to testify in the neutral position to Senate Bill 96, Carson City or Las Vegas? Seeing none, BPS, is there anybody in the phone wishing to testify in neutral?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in neutral for Senate Bill 96, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you, folks, for bringing this to our attention. Jason G. Gibson, House of Gibson, GIBSON, on behalf of the Peace Through Culture Foundation for the Law of Time. Please allow me to quote War is a Racket by Smedley D. Butler. I quote, 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. This is from War is a Racket by Smedley D. Butler. He goes on to say, in short, I was a racketeer and a gangster for capitalism. Gangster for capitalism. So we have a violent social fabric, which is a byproduct of commercialism. We are neutral testimony with regards to this bill because it doesn't read correctly. This says here that it's an International Remembrance Day. We don't hear anything about the Native American First Nation folks that were involved in the Holocaust of this continent. What about all the Native American folks? Why aren't they included in the bill? Furthermore, it says here, International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. The state of Nevada is part of the problem. It is a fictitious corporate body. This should read International Holocaust Remembrance Day of First Nations peoples on Nevada state land. I want to be very clear that the American States Assembly makes conscious what's unconscious. the violence that we are experiencing today is the fact of the matter. Well, it's because of misrepresentation. We've been duped. We've been misrepresented by corporate interests. This is unfinished business from the Civil War. And when you tune into the American States Assembly with Justice Anna Von Reitz every Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m. to learn about the real history of these continental United States, you'll know that this bill is not comprehensive enough in addressing the genocide right here in our own backyard, which is occurring every day, which is essentially another byproduct of commercialism, domestic terrorism, and false authority. So please refine your understanding of such things and know that a majority of this really came into proper perspective in 1933 when the country went bankrupt. Our precious metals were replaced by Federal Reserve notes and birth certificates. And then we were all yoked into a legal fiction that hijacked the Calendar Change Peace Initiative and the Rorich Peace Pact and set the stage for World War II. That occurred in 36, 37, 38, and 39. And what preceded World War II was the drug war on hemp cannabis. So let's get it all in proper perspective. We're at lawoftime.org/history. And we commend you and the youth for at least taking enough interest to speak out again today. But again, this is all rooted in an identity crisis and the byproduct of commercialism. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. BPS, is there anybody else wishing to join us in the neutral position?
Thank you, Chair. There are currently no other callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you. At this time, Senator Krasner, Mr. Mallon, any closing remarks you may have?
Thank you, Chair. Elliot Mallon, for the record, Chair of the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust. First, I want to say thank you again for this. I think this was a very moving hearing today. The second thing is I would be remiss if I didn't recognize some of the work that we are currently doing with some of our youth, and you will hear from one of them in a few minutes. But I want to mention this now. The Governor's Advisory Council has been very proud to partner with Mr. Ethan Cohen behind me, who testified in support, who has been driving an initiative as a student at his high school. He is a sophomore in high school to do more to teach about the Holocaust. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that and the good work of our youth who are here today to come in and support. So thank you again.
In closing, by enacting International Holocaust Remembrance Day into Nevada law, we are sending a clear message that Nevada is committed to remembering the past, educating the present, and safeguarding the future. This bill, SB 96, will ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust and other genocides are never forgotten. I would appreciate your support of SB 96, and thank you very much, Chair Flores and members of the Senate Government Affairs Committee, for hearing this bill today.
And Mr. Mallon and Senator Krasner, thank you both for the presentation. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and close out the hearing on Senate Bill 96. Senator Krasner, I'll invite you back. And next, I'd like to open up the hearing on Senate Bill 179. Senator Orenshaw, our amazing Vice Chair, will be helping us with that. And members, you should have in front of you an amendment that is friendly, that was proposed by our bill sponsor. For those of you following along on Nellis, you should also have access to that.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores. For the record, my name is James Orenshaw. I represent State Senate District 21 down in Southern Nevada. I want to thank you and the members of your Senate Government Affairs Committee for hearing Senate Bill 179 today. I think as we heard during my colleague's last bill presentation, anti-Semitism is on the rise around the world, across our nation, and even in our home state. And Certainly after World War II and the Holocaust, the cry was never forget, never again. And unfortunately, we're seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, a rise in acts of violence, and these things are shocking and terrifying to all of us, to the Jewish community and to all of us. Senate Bill 179 won't cure all these ills. However, it will address many of these, especially in anti-Semitism in a more subtle form that may arise in terms of housing discrimination, discrimination in employment, discrimination in public accommodation. If there's someone who may feel that they don't want to hire someone because they're Jewish or they think they're Jewish, don't want to rent to someone or sell a home to someone, this is something that Senate Bill 179 can address through our Nevada Equal Rights Commission. And this is something that I hope the committee will consider. I have been very fortunate to work with two very dedicated and passionate teenagers from Southern Nevada on Senate Bill 179. I believe we've been working on it for close to a year. I think the committee's already gotten a little bit familiar with Ethan Cohen and with Mayor DeLee. Ethan is 15 years old. He's a sophomore at the Meadows School, and he's very passionate about this issue. He's proud of his Israeli-American heritage, and he's also one of our Nevada youth legislators for our colleague from Senate District 9. He represents Senate District 9 in the Nevada Youth Legislature. Mayor DeLee is 14 years of age. He's a freshman at LVA, Las Vegas Academy for the Arts downtown, which for those of us who grew up in Las Vegas, we remember as the old original Las Vegas High School. Mayor has a very unique background. He's studying to get his pilot's license. He comes from a proud agricultural family out of Nye County, and really, I've got two great Nevadans here and two up-and-coming leaders in the Jewish community here in Nevada. With your permission, Chair, I'd like to turn the presentation over to my younger co-presenters, and then I've got Elliot Malin, who's also part of our presentation. With your permission, Chair, then I'd like to let him speak, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Please, thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and other esteemed Senate Government Affairs Committee members. My name is Ethan Cohen, a sophomore at the Meadows School, and I'm speaking on behalf of Senate Bill 179. I'm an American, I'm a Nevadan, and I am a Jew. I've had the unique experience of both witnessing and experiencing the sickening rise of anti-Semitism and hate in Nevada, and was inspired to come straight to lawmakers to do something about it. The Jewish community in Nevada is vulnerable, and time again it has been victim to vicious evil, but that ends now. I would like to thank you for being given the opportunity to present and testify on the anti-Semitism bill that I have led alongside Senator Orenshaw. It is really an unbelievable thing to experience being in the state capitol and presenting to legislators and policymakers. Please know how grateful I am for your time and for showing such care towards an issue that has exponentially risen and plagued both the Jewish community and Nevada as a whole.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and Senate Committee. My name is Mayor DeLee, and I'm a freshman at Las Vegas Academy, and I'm also a Jewish Nevadan as well. Exactly like Ethan stated, anti-Semitism has shown up more and more within Nevada, like when in North Las Vegas, a local business owner was called and said that due to his Jewish faith, his store would be shot and all of his shoppers would die. Or when at a high school in Las Vegas, a graduating student used the leader of the American Nazi Party as his yearbook quote. Or at another high school where a disabled Jewish student was bullied into having a swastika carved into his back. Or when Death to Jews was found graffitied onto a street in Las Vegas. Nationwide anti-Semitism has increased over 200% since 2023 and has increased over 361% since October 7th, 2023. According to the Anti-Defamation League and according to the FBI's statistics, Jews are victims of the majority of religiously motivated hate crimes, despite Jews being only 2% of the population of the United States. According to the Nevada Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust, a majority of Nevadans can't define anti-Semitism.
SB 179 seeks to establish an official definition of anti-Semitism within Nevada Revised Statutes and directs its use in relation to the Nevada Equal Rights Commission. While there are state laws regarding religious discrimination in certain instances, there is nothing to actually define anti-Semitism and help those who are given the duty of determining whether or not an act constitutes anti-Semitism. The language of the amendment proposed by Senator Orenshaw is as follows. It directs the Equal Rights Commission how to use the definition of anti-Semitism, and it actually does define anti-Semitism. The definition is the same used by other states across the country to make the process more streamlined and aligned. Regarding the specific definition of anti-Semitism within SB 179 itself, the definition is incredibly specific, but leaves the question. In the definition, it references Jewish businesses and property. If someone boycotts a business, can it be anti-Semitic? If it's for economic reasons, no. Boycotts or protests or strikes from unions are allowed no matter who owns the property. But if it's simply because the owner is Jewish, then it is anti-Semitic. Thus, in all facets of life, not just property or businesses, only acts that can be proven to be caused by religious or ethnic discrimination are anti-Semitic, and this definition gives investigators and the Equal Rights Commission a way to see what types of behavior may originate from religious or ethnic discrimination. Senators, we ask you for a yes vote on this bill because it is the way forward for Nevada. It will protect the Jewish community of this state and let the tens of thousands of Jewish Nevadans know that Carson City has their back and is looking out for them always. At the same time, a more tolerant and inclusive society for some makes a more tolerant and inclusive society for everyone. And putting this bill forward is the first step to ensuring that Nevada becomes a safer, more equitable, and more just place for all who live in it. Thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have about SB 179.
Thank you for the presentation. And I want to just remind you that when you transition back and forth, please state your name for the record, just to make it easier for minute purposes. But I think you still have a presentation for the slideshow. I mean, no? Okay, perfect. All right, with that, thank you again for the presentation, and thank you for all the work you did. The hardest thing to do in this building is all the work behind the scenes, meeting with members ahead of time, addressing issues and concerns. And you both have done a great job, even though you don't live up in Northern Nevada. So I just thought that was amazing work. Really wanted to commend you for that. At this time, I'd like to open it for questions. Senator Rogich, please.
Again, I don't have any questions. I just want to make a statement. My children attended Jewish day school from pre-K to high school, and so thank you for your unwavering courage to stand up against hatred. And so know that your voice and actions are an inspiration for others. Thank you.
Senator Ellison, please.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, I don't know what you're planning on next. It's going to be a little hard to beat what you've done. I'm pretty proud of you guys. But it's the bill that's going to make the difference. A lot of people don't realize this little piece of paper will affect a lot of people in every nationality there is. So thank you very much, and I'm glad you did it. So.
Senator Krasner, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Orenshaw, for bringing this very important piece of legislation. And thank you to both of you for being involved in this and bringing this bill forward. I appreciate all the work you did on this. Great job.
Made the whole presentation and opening argument so strong that there's no additional questions for you. Thank you again for your time, and it's testament of all the work you did before today's hearing, which is why there is no more questions. I'm going to invite all three of you to sit back, and at this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 179. If you could please come forward, Carson City and Las Vegas, and then afterwards, we'll move to the phone line. Good afternoon, welcome, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Elliot Mallon for the record on behalf of the Anti-Defamation League. First, I want to say how much of a privilege it has been to work with these two students, Ethan and Mayor. It is not every day that you get to see a student come here, have a passion, see a problem that they want to fix, and then do something about it. You know, I've known a lot of you for a long time, some of you for a short time. It is no secret that I'm Jewish. But I will tell you this. In this building, I have faced anti-Semitism. In this building from other lobbyists, I have faced anti-Semitism and from members of the community. I remember last session, a bill on the Nazi swastika and the remarks I was hearing from behind me. It saddens me to this day what we see. And make no mistake here, we have seen a 200% increase of anti-Semitic incidents over the last year per the Anti-Defamation League's statistics. After the October 7th massacre and attack, it was a 374% increase in attacks on Jews in America. In the last presentation, Senator Ellison was talking about what's happening on college campuses on the East Coast. I am really proud to say that's not happening on our campuses. But I'm also, again, really proud to see that we have future Jewish leaders standing up to do the right thing today. I can't do this forever. At some point, I will have to retire. I think my wife will force that. And so these students coming here today and doing this is the future. And I urge your support. We stand in support. Thank you, Senator, Chair, and members of the committee.
And thank you. Please.
Alexander Marks, representing myself in this matter. First off, I'd like to just say these students are phenomenal. That's exactly what we need, standing up to hate. More of that, please. My comments on Senate Bill 96 can also be used here as well. Senate Bill 179 recognizes the growing threat of anti-Semitism and strengthens Nevada's anti-discrimination framework by explicitly addressing the anti-Jewish bias, so requiring this committee to consider anti-Semitism in its investigations, we think goes a long way to reinforcing the state's commitment to protecting Jewish Nevadans and targeted discrimination and hate. Hate directed at Jewish individuals, religious institutions, and property is more an attack than just the community. It's an attack on our shared values of equality and justice. Defining anti-Semitism within state law ensures that discrimination against Jewish Nevadans is neither overlooked nor dismissed. This bill is not about special treatment. It's about ensuring anti-Semitism is recognized and addressed as serious as any other form of discrimination. This bill is necessary because it ensures that anti-Semitism is taken seriously under this framework. When hate is allowed to fester, it spreads, confronting head-on both its moral obligation and necessary step in protecting civil rights. Passing this bill sends a clear message. Discrimination has no place in our communities, and Jewish Nevadans will be protected under the full weight of the law. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 179? Seeing none in Carson City or Las Vegas, we will go to the phone line. BPS, anybody wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 179 over the phone?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 179, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers currently wishing to testify in support.
Thank you. BPS, if we could stay on the phone line and invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 179.
Yes, Chair. If you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 179, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Is there anybody wishing to testify in opposition in Carson City or Las Vegas? Seeing none, we will invite those wishing to testify in the neutral position to Senate Bill 179 to please come forward. Seeing none in Carson City or Las Vegas, BPS, anybody wishing to testify in the neutral position to Senate Bill 179?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Senate Bill 179, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are currently no callers wishing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you. Senator Orenshaw and our presenters, our students, would you like to have any closing remarks?
Here, with your permission, if I could yield my time to Ethan and Mayor.
Ethan Cohen, for the record. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who I've spoken with over this past year. Thank you to Senator Orenshaw for introducing this bill. Just thank you to everyone who's been so supportive of the mission that we're trying to accomplish of combating hate and anti-Semitism in our state. And I really thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation and for caring so deeply about this issue that affects so many Nevadans. So thank you very much for your support, and I'm very, very grateful to have been standing and presenting before you guys today. Thank you again.
For the record, thank you, Chair Flores and members of the Senate Committee. I would really like to thank you for your time, just as Ethan has said. We are very grateful for this opportunity to present before you, and we're, again, very thankful for your time in meetings beforehand and even now. Just thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Great job. With that, we'd like to go ahead and close out the hearing on Senate Bill 179. And members, at the onset of the meeting, I forgot to lay the land a little bit for this week, particularly for those of you who have to drive far and have families. I intend for us not to meet on Friday, so we'll be back in this committee room at 3:30 Wednesday. We still have public comment, but I just wanted to make sure everybody had that, so that you can plan accordingly with your families and or for travel. Lastly, on the agenda, we have public comment. Is there anybody wishing to testify for public comment? Please come forward to Las Vegas or Carson City. Seeing none, BPS, is there anybody wishing to join us for public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are currently no callers wishing to provide public comment.
All right, well, with that, members, thank you for the thoughtful dialogue today, and we will see everybody back in this room Wednesday at 3:30. This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you for your input.
Of course.